Okay, and finally today I decided to play with the very first reading that I give my students over at the Chakra Intuition System. And the very first reading that they get taught in the Chakra Intuition System course is the basic chakra reading. It's a very simple spread in many ways, but it gives so much information that it really has become the basis of my 12-month VIP readings, where we do the grand cycle reading, where there's 12 petals, one for each month, and within each petal I basically put a basic chakra reading so that you can see what's in store for that individual over a series of glimpses at different parts of the energy center and what's going on in that energy center for that month. You can also, of course, use the basic concept here of the 7 chakra reading and just read 1 or 2 cards for 1 or 2 chakras if you would like to do a shorter reading. And that's what you saw me do earlier when we did the 12 petal grand cycle readings. Well, right now, what I'm going to do for guest number 9 on our Tarot Mastery series this week, because guest number 9 is actually the very final guest who's getting a reading this week. So thanks for your patience, guest 9, because what we are doing from this point on is actually transitioning from our monthly model of doing a monthly reading for each of our VIPs, each of our Masters Club members. We're now rolling into each Masters Club member over the next month is going to get a 12-month predictive reading, a 60-minute reading from me. But each and every week they are also getting a chance to do a reading by submitting a smaller question on a Q&A box for that week's readings. So these guys got their question submissions in last week, but they're also going to have a chance to submit a new question and get a new reading this week too, and every reading from here on out. Plus those 60-minute 12-month readings that are coming for every single one of the Masters Club members. So lots of great stuff on the way, but lots of patience was required this month from the current Masters Club members because they've sort of been with me through that transition. So many thanks to all of you. You've been brilliantly patient. Thank you. So the first thing I'm actually reading this reading with the Inner Child Tarot, which is one of my favorite tarot card decks. It's created by a woman called Isha Lerner, and the Inner Child Tarot, I don't know whether it has much to do with Waldorf philosophy and education generally, but this is a card deck that has been designed to appeal to the small child in all of us, but also to small children. The cards are oversized, extra large cards. They're meant to kind of fit in your hand in a way that it's too big to shuffle with your hand, so you get the experience of the card being this really big thing in your hand, a lot like a small child would. And there's a lot of really neat design features to the Inner Child deck. And they draw on the fairy tales that many of us are quite aware of and remember well for the basis of all of the stories of their card deck. And it's a really beautiful deck of cards. The interesting thing here in this reading, so I did a 7 chakra spread reading for guest number 9. And there's a before and an after card here. So the before card probably represents what's just happened leading up to this reading, like in the last month or 2 of your experience. And the after card probably represents the next month or 2 of your experience. Both of them are swords. In the before position, I know you can't see the number and the name down at the bottom there of that card. I cut it off accidentally when I was taking a picture of it for you. But this is the 7 of swords. And, you know, it's this person sort of gazing out the window at something that looks really fun to be doing out the window. But he's sort of diligently writing and doing a task that needs his attention, a communicative task of writing a letter on a scroll at the table. And this is really a card of the Seven of Swords really, in every deck that I've ever looked at, really looks like sort of the card of sometimes you've just got to do what you've got to do. That energy, that's sort of what the Swords card here, the Seven of Swords, is really all about. And it's a phenomenally tricky card for a lot of people, because that energy of having to do something that we don't necessarily want to have to do, or having to say something we don't necessarily want to be the one having to say what we have to say. That's sort of the energy of the card. But it's related to diplomacy and diplomatic techniques, and it really does serve a purpose to get you to a more refined place in your communications. So that's the near past card, the immediate past of doing this 7 chakra read. And then in the future, we have the Guide of Swords. Now, the guides in the Inner Child Tarot are court cards, and they are more like queens than any other court card. So the Guide of Swords here is interpreted as Robin Hood in this deck, and he's got his bag of loot there. He's robbing the rich to save the poor. And what he really represents here is the great equalizer of fairness. And he's a hero for getting people more in line with their fairness overall, if you think about who Robin Hood is. So I like what she's done with the court cards here, because she's switched up some of the genders that we see. The person who really is equated to the Guide of Swords usually is the Queen of Swords, and we looked at her earlier. I think she was in the short cycle reading that we just did. But here we have the Queen of Swords reinterpreted as Robin Hood, a guy, and why not? And so the energy there is guarding around the fairness of communication, and fairness in communication and how money is distributed are always very tied. So it's sort of like you're doing your due diligence in the past, and then you've got sort of an equalizing period of time coming up. But in the meantime, here's kind of the state of the 7 chakras. So we have the 8 of Wands in the first chakra, but you'll notice the 8 of Wands is reversed when the layout is actually done. And the next card and the next card are actually reversed as well. So the second chakra card is the 3 of Hearts, which correlates to the 3 of Cups. And the third chakra card, which is reversed, is the Child of Wand, which is interpreted as the Pied Piper. Sorry I didn't turn that card around in this picture for you. But all 3 of those lower chakras energies are actually feeling a little unfulfilled or a little starved for attention right now, because they all came up as reversed. And this is probably due to a period that has felt like it's been a period that you've been waiting to do something more fun, that 7 of Swords energy, and you've been having to do things that are sort of getting in the way of all of the fun. And I think that's just what that feels like to me. And then the fourth chakra is an upright 7 of Hearts. So just like we talked about the 7s being the refinement for the suit of air, sometimes you need to sort of do your diplomatic work, whether you want to do it or not. Here, the 7 of Hearts is a refinement for the heart, a refinement for the emotions. So this is a card that sometimes connects people to their deepest hopes and wishes and dreams that they might have forgotten about for a very long time, but might now be in a position to rediscover. And I think, honestly, this is the most powerful card in this chakra spread for you. As you can see, it's right at the center of the reading. It's the heart chakra. It's actually the only card here, if you look at it, that is upright. So I think there's been a lot of sort of starved for fun energy from the Seven of Swords card here on the left-hand side, the before card, that has really left this figure feeling lethargic. Nothing feels like they quite have enough energy for it, apart from we have this very important seed going on. And then the thing about the upper chakras, which are interesting, is that all three uppers, well, okay, we've got the Seven of Hearts, and here are the uppers. That's the fifth chakra turned upright for you, the sixth chakra turned upright for you, and the seventh chakra turned upright for you. And these are the equivalent in a regular deck of the Star, the Emperor, and Cinderella is the equivalent of the Moon in the regular deck. All three of these are major arcana cards. So there is some massive transformation for the upper chakra self possible coming up. And right now we are in the center of it all. That's how it feels. Because everything other than our pure focus on our heart realm right now, everything else feels like we only just have enough energy for everything we want to do. But what you can do in that quiet space, even when you're tired out, is you can pull into that heart chakra center. The Seven of Hearts is right there. So you've got a heart card, which is an emotion card, a water card, a cup, showing up right on the heart chakra. And I just think that alone, besides the point that this is the only upright card of the whole group, makes the Seven of Hearts here a very special focus card for you right now. Because I think once you really get sort of restored by going into that center and being renewed and rejuvenated by that center of the heart realm for a while here, you will find a refinement through your heart chakra's energy field, where you can really come into a powerful time of inspiration, where you can be talking and communicating about very, very inspiring things. That's the energy of the Star card there, which is residing at the throat chakra area, and that feels like a super powerful one for you. And then the intuitive center, the third eye, we have well, what do we say about the Emperor's new clothes as the take on the Emperor here? Basically, she's saying that a lot of authority figures that have in the past made you feel like perhaps you can't do something because you don't have the authority to do it. A lot of those people don't actually have the authority to tell you what you can and can't do. And what this card suggests is you coming into your own domain of authority and power, because this is the Emperor card that you're meeting, and this is the unique way that you're meeting the Emperor card in the expression of this card from this deck. And then we have card 18 here at the 7th chakra. This to me suggests that there may have been a hesitancy to opening up to the experience of the spiritual self in the past, because that's felt a bit scary. Perhaps you have some connections and some ties with some deceased people that feels like it's very powerful stuff, and you're not sure whether you want to revisit that or not because of how it made you feel in the past. So this can sometimes happen, especially around deceased people, where if we haven't had exactly a wonderful positive experience all the time of the deceased, we can get into this funk in our spiritual life, and it's almost like it's sort of borderline depression, because we can't feel comfortable and at home spending time in our spiritual experience, because that experience feels like it might bring us close to some experiences that we'd rather not revisit. And that's a very powerful conflicting energy that if we turn this upright, if we get comfortable with connecting to the realm of the spirit again, amazing things are going to get to happen. Right after the Moon card, archetype 18 is archetype 19, the Sun. And that's what you get to go do once you resolve this reversed 18 at the Crown Center. So that's really a very, very powerful reading, I'm finding. But what I'm going to actually focus on for you is I'm going to do the 4 affirmations from the 7 of hearts all the way through the upper 3 chakras, because the upper 3 chakras were very powerful major arcana cards that get to happen for you after you've hung out and spent some time in the 7 of hearts. So we're going to start with the 7 of hearts, which is the equivalent of the 7 of water in Joanna Colbert's deck that we're reading from the companion book for the Gaian Tarot today with our example readings. Here's what she says about the 7 of hearts, the 7 of water. It's time for you to narrow down your options and choose one dream or fantasy out of many. Saying no is as empowering as saying yes. What will open up for you as a result of this decision? Follow your intuition and lift that cup. Drink deeply and let your well be filled. And this is what she says about the shadow experience of the 7 of hearts. You may, when you read the shadow side of this card, you may feel paralyzed and unable to choose between many options available to you. Choose to take action even if you're uncertain. You can always change course later, but taking action will break you out of your paralysis. And the affirmation that she gives for the 7 of hearts is, I open my whole heart to my dream. I open my whole heart to my dream. Okay, we're going to go from here to the affirmation that she has for the star card. And once we have that heart opening going on and we're ready to start turning these upper chakra cards upright, the star card is, Joanna Colbert calls it opening to grace. And here you can see it interpreted as wishing upon a star in the inner child deck. And she has this to say for the affirmation here, and this is really what's going on in the heart, in the throat chakra, so very important to communicate this to yourself and others, this affirmation for the star. I open up to the peace and inspiration of the great mystery. I open up to the peace and inspiration of the great mystery. Moving on up to the awareness of the third eye center, we have the Emperor and all of those themes of authority that we were talking about earlier. Here's the affirmation. I wield my power with wisdom based on my discipline, knowledge, and respect for all that is. I wield my power I wield my power with wisdom based on my discipline, knowledge, and respect for all that is. And the final affirmation for you today is the affirmation of the Moon card in the traditional tarot, which here in the inner child is interpreted as Cinderella. I open up to the peace, that's the wrong one. I am in harmony with the waxing and waning of my emotions and intuition. I am in harmony with the waxing and waning of my emotions and intuition. Okay, so that's all we have time for today in this reading, but if you're in the Masters Club, you now get to submit a reading to me every single week, so you'll find a way to do that if you're in the Masters Club. And if you're not in the Masters Club and you're interested in being in the Mastermind with us, we can have you click through on a link you should find at the bottom of this page.